thank you so much for joining us. I'm very, very pleased to meet you. I will say that as we were chatting earlier, Leica is a very big thing in our house, especially I know Leica, there's phones and there's watches and stuff now, but the joy and the concept of photography is really started to seep in to my family as well as my kids. And it's been very cool to see things how they see it and to see the things that are important to them, especially nature right now. My daughter is obsessed with taking pictures of flowers. She takes a picture of a flower almost every day, and she's taking the pictures and putting them on her door, and so she can show how the flower changes. And I was like, where did you get that? Yeah. So to kind of kick things off, I'm curious about what was photography like for you growing up?
That's a good question, because I always I'm telling about my former life and then my Leica life afterwards.
Yeah.
So, I did something totally different before. I studied philosophy and German and at Freiburg, and then I did something totally different again. And of course, my father had like this, I don't know, this Minolta, the very small one, you just go inside and then you go out again. This special model. But that was just, and we had these long evenings, with the dia shows. And everyone was, how long and how many more? And then started also the first little filming, but it was shaking like hell.
Yeah.
So, and that was my first experience with photography. And of course, I was always interested in art. I played the violin. I went to all the interesting exhibitions. I was interested in the art history, also in paintings. And then, as you know, the Kaufmann family took over Leica in 2004. And my kids were still all in school and very young during that time. But in 2008, there were a CFO, and he said, okay, I think we don't need the Leica galleries anymore. It only costs money. So let's close them all. And that was the moment when my husband and I said, okay, let's open an own independent Leica gallery with a little boutique in Salzburg. Normally, we won't do that because Salzburg is really, it's a wonderful art city, but it's very small. So, and there, in a way, the journey restarted. And today we have 28 Leica galleries around the world, and of course, also a lot of other culture activities. So, and that was learning by doing, because I was not at all on the art market or in galleries or whatever. And I said, okay, if I would like to do this, I should start my own business to know how it really works. And so that was the opening in 2008 with the Leica gallery here in Salzburg. And I think this commitment, which started 50 years ago in 1976, you have to imagine in 1976, there were some galleries in New York, by the way, who were really dedicated to only exhibiting photography. The rest was like contemporary art, and perhaps sometimes they also showed some photography. But in Europe, photography was exhibited in museums, in art spaces, but not really in photo galleries. They didn't exist. And then a company which was really dedicated only to optics, mechanic, and technology, decided, okay, we will open a gallery in Wetzlar, in Germany. So, and there the journey started, and they exhibited 12 times. So each month, 12 different exhibitions per year.
Mm-hmm.
And photographers like Sebastião Salgado, René Bouri, Jane Evelyn Atwood, they exhibited in this gallery, and they had not these big names. I mean, they were already starting to start a good career in photography. And of course, also like we also do now, emerging talents, photographers from Germany. But I mean, this was really, really, when I look backwards in this time, innovative.
Yeah. Like, do you remember the first photograph you saw that emotionally affected you?
I think that was one of the first ones, is of course because I also was very early involved in the history behind the story, was
Yeah.
Afghanistan Girl by Steve McCurry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And of course, I know Steve since also quite a long time now. And when I heard about the story that he after years tried to find this girl again, and so he built also a foundation for this girl, for this woman.
Yeah.
So to have these stories behind, this is what also very often impressed me and touches me.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I'm a very casual photographer where, I try to take pictures. I know some of the fundamentals of rule of thirds and stuff, but the amount of times I've continued to try to educate myself, I've always felt like I hit a wall because I see photos, yeah, like the Steve McCurry photo. And let me be clear, I don't think that I can do it. I do believe that there's a talent to it, right? But I'm like, oh, there's something there. There's something in that photo. There's an emotional aspect of that photo. And, I'm curious for you, you've been around tons of photographers and obviously Leica represents such an important part of the world of photography and how it's furthered the entire medium. But do you believe that like taste in photography is something that you learn, or do you think that it's instinctual?
There are two different parts. One part is, as you mentioned, I think I can't copy it or whatever, but I mean, there's always a way of learning.
Yeah.
And for example, also, I think really good photographers can be always a role model, also for people who are using only the lights phone or another phone, of course.
Yeah.
So the mobile, because in a way, everyone today is, let's not say a photographer, but a shooter and taking pictures. So this is one part. And the other part is, of course, you learn sometimes there is structure, light and shadow, and so on and so forth. But for me, the most important point is that a picture has a story and that it touches you, that it moves you, and that is stories behind. There are some pictures I just feel nothing. And sometimes also, I mean, there are a lot of experimental photography around today. I'm quite often asking myself, what the hell would the photographer tell me? I don't understand it. And I mean, the photo festival in Arles, the oldest, biggest, blah, blah, blah. I was there 3 years ago. And normally I go there, of course, each year. And I went to a lot of exhibitions, and always I first look at the exhibition. I try to understand the visual language. And then, if not, I read the text. And very often I did both. And I did not understand what is really going on, because it's everything is in their head. They have long stories, what they would like to express in their pictures, but I can't see it. So this is the emotional point in a picture. And even if it's not correct or if it's not perfect, it's not about perfect. It's for me about the human approach. Very, very important for me.
Yeah, I agree, and I thank you for the candor there, because I oftentimes as I feel like in my age now I've really tried to embrace the arts in a way that I maybe overlooked in the past. When I was younger, my parents would take me to museums, and like most kids, I'd get a little bored. I remember we went to an Elliot Erwitt exhibition. And for listeners, Elliot Erwitt's incredible photographer. I'll put a link in the show notes. But I saw these and I was like, these pictures are dumb. Like, I don't get it. They look like a bunch of grandmas. Like, what's this thing in the pool? What's this? And I remember my dad was like, well, this is a moment in time. You should look at this. You should understand it. And I felt so stupid because people were there standing and staring. And I remember a woman got emotional and there was a Kleenex box. So you could, if you were emotional, you could look at these photos. And I don't think I'd ever been so humbled by my own ignorance. And, I'm 15 at the time. And so I was like, I completely was like, I got angry that I couldn't understand it. And so I love that you were also like, look, there's a human aspect. There's something that is not always easily translated from that experience. And I think that that's great because there's a lot of comfort in knowing that you're not the only one who feels this way, and so thank you for that. And on the topic of Leica, I think many people who are not even familiar with photography, they know Leica as an object. They know the red dot. But I think fewer people understand Leica as, for me, what is more of a cultural institution. And so, I'm curious, when you all started to work more with the brand and be more involved with the brand outside of the photo exhibitions, what were the responsibilities that you felt to really shepherd the institution?
I mean, there are different stories. One story is because I'm working already also or being involved in the Leica Oscar Barnack Award. And when I started, that the award was shown at Arles at the photo festival, but it was a little corner outside in this Espace Van Gogh, and we only were able to show this for five days. And I mean, I don't know if you know Arles, but there is a lot of things going on. And this was a little drop in the huge ocean of Arles. And then I said, okay, sorry, but I think we have to remove it. We have to go somewhere else. And then I said, okay, Oscar Barnack was born near Berlin, and then we moved to Berlin. And we rented, that was really great. That was 4 times. We had a church and we had a huge event in the church, and nearby the church was the photo school. And we had an exhibition there for 6 weeks. And then, of course, the third part of the Leica campus in Wetzlar was ready with the museum, with the hotel, with everything. And then I said, okay, dear Oscar, now it's time to go home. And that was for the 40th birthday. And in connection with the 40th birthday, I also changed the award from an open admission to a nominated award. That was a huge step, a lot of work, but that still, since then, the award got a lot more and gets a lot more recognition because of all our 120 international nominators around the world. They are, of course, all in a way connected with photography. Yeah, and then we have each year now since 2020, for the 40th birthday, we have now the 46th edition this year. We have the celebration of photography. So this is not Leica photography or the Leica Oscar Barnack Award. It's celebration of photography. And we have the opening and the award ceremony in our museum with the 2 winners and 10 finalists. And this year, for the first time, I just came back yesterday night from this year's Loba jury in Wetzlar, and we have the Leica Woman Award as well now under the umbrella of the Loba. So this is one step for the Leica galleries, and I'm very proud. No, I'm not proud. I'm never proud, but I'm very glad that we reached that we were part of iPad this year with and not as a sponsor. But that was before also for Paris Photo or for Photo London. We were a sponsor because we are a company, and they
Yeah.
not accepted us as independent Leica galleries who are dealing with art. And so we were accepted at iPad, and we also 2 weeks ago we were at Photo London
Oh,
downstairs
wow.
with all the other galleries, and it was a success. And it was also that a lot of people said, "Wow, you have 28 Leica galleries. We have a folder with all information inside. Ah, nice to know that," and blah blah blah. So this is my goal for the future, that we really achieve to be more seen, that what you mentioned as a really a culture hub.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that also is just growing the entire medium as a whole. I mean, you had said yourself, it's not like that the rules are that, oh, it has to be on a Leica. You know, I mean, this is more about pushing and growing photography, you know, as a whole. And I'm curious, when you look at the submissions and, you know, even some of the photos and stuff that are hung behind you, what do you think separates a photograph that lasts 50 years, you know, from one that trends on the internet for like 24 hours?
Good question. Yeah. I mean, of course, it's also about taste sometimes in art, in photography.
Yeah, sure.
But coming back to what I said before, I think a photo matters and stays, and especially also in your own or mine personal photographic archive. You have a totally different than I have.
Mm.
When you as a person are connected emotionally with the image. If the image tells a story, if that moves you, then it stays in your mind. Otherwise, I mean, we look at a lot of images, or I look at a lot. Yesterday it was, also forgot a lot, but some
Sure.
they are now in my personal archive. And this is because I said, wow, this people shows me a story and connects me with someone on the picture or with a situation on the picture, and I'm emotionally combined with it. And I think these pictures stay. I can't stay if they stay in this worldwide iconic photographic archive. But especially for each one, I think this is the main reason why we have a remembrance of some pictures and others not.
Yeah, I think I'm comforted by the fact you didn't say, oh, because they exhibit blank, like that this specific rule. You know, I mean, what you were tugging at is the emotional connection.
Yeah.
And especially as a person who, you know, I don't have any art degree or anything like that, but I'm still infatuated and obsessed with art and photography.
You don't need it. This is my point. I think when you love something or like something and you are emotionally inside, so then you have your own degree.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think I thought about that.
That would be my degree.
Yeah, I think sometimes, yeah, I become, you know, am I qualified to like something is a question I'll often ask myself. And I wince even when I admit it to you right now, you know, but I'll look at certain photos. You know, there's a photo I keep on my desk, which I'll put up, you know, there's nothing special about this photo except that this.
I just can see someone singing and raising. It's this perhaps your daughter.
No, well, funny you mention it, but this person singing is one of my best friends. His name is Brian Davis.
Yeah,
and he's a vintage buyer and seller, but he was in a band called Encrypt Manuscript, and this was a show that we went to in New York, and I saw his show, and I don't know who took this photo, but the photo has my head before it was bald, to put an asterisk on it. And, you know, we were there and we were like screaming and we loved the show, but it was this tiny moment in time of pure bliss and joy and happiness and being around.
The arms.
Yeah, you can. I'll put the image in the show notes because, yeah, it's something. It's this emotional quality from it, but you know, I don't think there's anything correctly, I'm air quoting now, that are like artistic about this. Oh, I don't think the exposure was correct, or, oh, what was the ISO, reading correctly? Anything. It's just a moment. It was emotional. It was special. And it's something I keep on my desk to remind me of my friends, and that I have that. And I think to tie this back to Leica, one of my favorite things, honestly, is, my daughter has the Sofort, and then I have a Q2, and for listeners, you can we'll put a link to it. But the Q2 it's essentially it's a point and shoot. You can do automatic, but it's my favorite camera. It is not a rangefinder, which for some people they would say, a Leica is a rangefinder, but it's essentially this wonderful point and shoot. And I don't really go crazy on the settings. I turn it on, I take a picture, and I put it away. Or in most cases, I keep it hung around my neck. But knowing that I don't have to be plagued by the rules of the photography, and I can just exist and capture the moment as I experience it, is so freeing. It really, really is. And I think I say this because I know there are a lot of other people who listen who want to get more into the medium of photography, but feel constrained by potential rules, and I'm not, and let me be clear, as I'm rambling a tiny bit, I don't want to say that rules don't matter at all. But I think when, you and I, we were discussing the emotional connection of what makes something special, that emotion is not bound by rules. So
no, exactly. This is the main point. And I think, of course, when you would like to have some rules or to learn more, you would do it. But if you love what you're doing because you love the decisive moment emotionally for your images, then it's okay. And others, they will perhaps be more perfect in their images. So then they can do workshops. We also offer workshops, of course, as you know.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I very often say and also said, in the house of God are many doors, leave them open. So that means also, and I think this is for me personally important regarding the concept of the Leica galleries. Of course, the name is Leica, but I often say, okay, dear galleries, when you see really good series and it's not shot on Leica, it's perhaps Canon, Nikon, or whatever, give the photographer a chance if the images are good. And of course, sometimes, and I experience in my own gallery quite often, that photographers then change to Leica, not because, of course, they have the best lenses, but because they feel there is a home for them in the Leica world. And the Leica people take care not only of the camera, but of the product of the product. And this is the picture. And the second point of the concept is normal galleries, they represent, let's say, like some 12 to 15 or 20 photographers. That's it. And they push them. When I look back, I started in 2008 with my gallery here in Salzburg. I only exhibited the same photographers twice. 2 photographers I exhibited twice. That means, Jeremy, that all our galleries, we have always new photographers. I also have no contract with them that I have the right to exhibit them and sell them exclusively. I will give them the freedom they can sell wherever, whatever they want, because they need it. And of course, I have the right to sell their images as well in my gallery, but they can also sell in some other galleries. It's good. I love it. It's important for the photographers. And this is a totally different concept.
Yeah, it's highly unusual. I mean, I love that, but that's, definitely. I'm glad you're calling that out because that's not normal for most galleries.
No, I mean, we don't have these like 10 to 15 photographers. We only exhibit them. And also when you think about, let's say 150 approximately exhibitions per year through our galleries, through the Ernst Leitz Museum and so on and so forth. So that means at least 150 different photographers. They have the chance to tell their stories. And this is very important for me.
Yeah. I mean, I think to talk a bit about the additional storytelling and the just massive amount of people who are continuing to get into photography. I'm curious, most of them have started out with their mobile devices. And, with the astonishing growth of things like Instagram and just social media, I'm curious, like, do you think social media democratized photography or flattened it?
I think both.
That's fair. Yeah. Okay.
I think both. I mean, I know a lot of photographers, not a lot, but at least some, they really get a lot of awareness via Instagram. And then also, of course, gallerists or other people said, oh, wow, these are really good images. And also the other way around. I mean, we see a lot of really bad things on Instagram in photography.
True.
And I mean, so it's both. From my perspective, it's both. It's of course a great possibility. But what I also very often say when we have this advertising, we have to be on every channel, we have to push, blah, blah, blah. I said, what does it really mean? How many followers someone has? What does it mean? Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. It doesn't mean anything, especially now knowing where.
Yeah, I always hear, yeah, but he or she has 1 million followers. I say, yeah. And when you look at people liking something, they like it, and the next moment it's already forgotten.
You're right. And it's even with followers, and I say this as a polite criticism of Instagram. It doesn't mean that all your air quote followers actually see what you publish. I mean, there's almost a bit of a digital rent, which I've talked about in the past, that sometimes people be like, oh, well, if I need everyone to see it, I got to boost it. Yeah. And I got to put $100 behind this post and that's fine, I guess. But yeah, you're right. The follower stuff doesn't really matter. If the content that the people are making is good.
Exactly. And less is more.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, do you think that because of mobile devices that sometimes we might be taking too many photos to value them?
Yeah. I mean, when you look at journalists without mobile phone, without the internet and so on and so forth, so they came back from a long journey or trip or a case they were about to shoot with, I don't know how many film rolls.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in older times, of course, they gave them 1 or 2 film rolls to the magazine and said, okay, you can choose whatever you want. So nowadays they come back with thousands of images. They have to sit down. They have to select. They have to work on the color, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So it's a lot of more work for them. And also there, I think, and this is what I like with Leica, that when you have this viewfinder and you use Leica, in a way, the camera educates to take less images. Yeah, because when you just press the shutter, blah, 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 1 of 100 will be perhaps good. Perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they have to look at hundreds. And then perhaps they will find one. Of course, we also have the contact sheets. This is sometimes interesting from the past, that also they have like 10 images, 12, and then you see, wow, that's it. And he or she then decided this is the right picture for this special situation there. But I say a lot of people, when you go out for shooting, have something in mind, or of course, you also can stroll around the city, but reduce it.
Yeah, I agree. I love that my daughter is learning more about photography on essentially a film camera, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like that. Then you think about film, 36 images. Yeah.
And she'll be like, oh, Dad, I only have, 6 shots left or 8 shots. Yeah. And so she really prioritizes what is important. Yeah. And it's, and with that in mind, I see the things she does take a picture of, and it's made me be like, oh, why did she feel that was a special moment to use her film? Yeah. What maybe there was something I'm missing. Yeah. And these photos of flowers and things like that she does, because she also knows, I mean, this sounds a little silly, but she buys her own film because she gets a little allowance from her chores, and so she'll put that money towards her film, and so she knows that it is not infinite.
Yeah. Give my best greetings to your daughter and say her she's on the right way.
Yeah, we're trying here. With the amount of time you've spent around other artists, is there something that you feel has changed you or surprised you about spending so much of your life around artists?
No, I can't. I mean, there's also often the question, do you have a special picture or do you have a special photographer? I say, no, I don't have a special picture. I don't have a special photographer, because there are so many also good ones and also contemporary photographers. And so, which really, I mean, one thing really surprised me, that was that Faber Graf Castell, he was the first one who explored in China the Lufthansa airlines. So that was, he was sitting alone in an airplane. And because that was on the left side for Leica, he was able to do both flying and shooting. And there, he was, I mean, he experienced extremely interesting and also dangerous and adventurous things, because a lot of people never have seen a white man, or they were thinking, wow, this is a bird flying, when he had some accidents. So we found this. I met his daughter in Munich, and we looked at the archive, and there were images from above from the old China.
Wow.
And we did a huge exhibition in Berlin, but also in China. So that was something where I said, wow, the Leica worked already so good. And I did huge wallpapers, and the quality was good. So this is one of perhaps other surprises. But of course, each year, and that was yesterday, as I mentioned, the jury, I'm always surprised by all these photographers around the world, and they're really involved in this not easy situation and dangerous situation. And they are there, and they shoot, and they're doing their work there, and they take responsibility as photographers, as photojournalists. And this is what really impresses me. And I think even today we need these people. More and more to tell the truth.
I wholeheartedly agree. And I think that's, especially now, I'm one of the people who, look, I'm aware of AI. Look, that's the elephant in the room. And I will use AI to help me with my commas on my writing. I do use AI to help my grammar and my punctuation, because I'm quite a poor physical writer, which is why I have a podcast.
Totally okay for using it,
but
for these things,
yeah, I really dislike the computer creation of images. But from that, I think a tiny silver lining that I've experienced is finding joy in the imperfection of real images, because I don't want to see, if there's a loose thread on a shirt, right? Let it be a loose thread. That's what happened. That's what happened in that moment. I don't need things to be, it's one thing to be retouched.
You don't need this, but this is what I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, please.
But this is the point I mentioned before. It's not about the perfect picture. It's about the human approach, and that it is vivid, that it tells a story. It's not about a perfect image. Sometimes a perfect image is without emotion. It's perfect, but we are not perfect. No human being is perfect. It's a human approach.
This is very true. And I but I do think I get to talk to a lot of younger students in different universities and stuff. And I will say the kids are all right, because there is a bit of a whiplash effect against things like AI and even social media. I'll be honest. I spoke at a school, and I noticed, of course, everyone had laptops, and a couple people had their phones out, and I talked about social media, and they were like, yeah, and they'd raised their hand, and I was like, oh yeah, sure. They're like, yeah, like social media, that's not really something we're using as much, and if so, we kind of just have it, kind of like we have to have it.
Good.
And another person framed Instagram as like LinkedIn, in the sense that they have it because they feel they have to, but they don't really want to spend time on it because it's just kind of empty to them. And I was like, oh,
good.
Yeah, of course. And I I was like, well, how do you share images, and what are other ways that you're sharing your work? And one of them had talked about they're in a letter writing club. And I was like, what's the letter writing club? And they're like, oh, we write letters.
Wow.
I was like,
amazing. I mean, you know the story, Jeremy, about Australia, that this is until 16. It's forbidden, social media, it's done. And the families, they are so happy. They play, they talk.
It is great, right? Yeah, I'm trying to do everything I can to preserve that innocence, because too, I mean, look, there are wonderful things about social media, sure, fine,
yeah, there are always both sides in life, so not only one side. Yeah,
and I'm just like, like there's so much joy in human connection. I was inspired by this letter writing club, and so what I started doing is once a week I'll write a letter to just a friend, and I'll be honest, most of the letters are they're nothing significant. It's their observations, things that happen, but I've really, really enjoyed that, and it's kind of pushed me back to taking things at a slower pace,
And I will take one sentence, what you just said, or two words, which I think really belongs to Leica. This is the human connection. Because I always say, having this Leica galleries around the world, and of course also the stores, and the journey will go on. So we will open next galleries and new stores. I mean, at least after COVID, we all experience, we are social human beings. We need each other. Yeah. Not only always online, in real. And I think these also, I very often said, the galleries, there are not white cubes where we exhibit images and that's it. It's a meeting point for people to talk, to experience, also to slow down. There is no music in the galleries. I really will that they concentrate on, perhaps it's only one image they take with them when they go out. And to be in a talk, we had all these talks there with photographers. We have book signings, so it's really an exchange meeting point, and I think this is more and more important for the future. So having this possibility, and I mean, I very often have my quote: "A picture is a picture when it's printed out. The rest is data." So that means a picture, when it's not printed out, I can do everything with a picture, everything. But when it's a fact on the wall, it's a fact. I can't change it anymore. And also, I think the relationship when you look on a screen on a picture, I mean, I do it very often, of course, but also I do it very often, the printed picture on the wall. So of course there's a difference. I can go back, I can go near, I can decide, oh, I don't want to see that one, but I will concentrate on that one, and so on and so forth. So this human connection is and therefore I also say very often we have this Leica family around the world, and I feel this really. I was just 1 week ago in London for Photo London. We have this Leica Society International, these crazy people. I mean, they are also since more than 50 years. They have that. We do nothing for this club, but they know everything about Leica, and they have annual meetings and they're talking about Leica and I don't know what. And so having this crazy, I really sometimes say these people are crazy. I mean, it's only about a camera, but it's not only about a camera.
Well, Right? Yeah. And I think that's the thing too, where it's like, you just opened this space in Chicago. And
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned earlier about like a community, and I think for me too, and this is especially post COVID, I still shop as much as ever. But now I'm like, I feel like I could wait and I'm just going to do this in person.
Mm.
And now when I'm trying to do more of this shopping in person, whether it's clothes or, look, especially cameras, I don't believe anyone, respectfully, should buy a camera just online.
Yeah,
Go feel it, go touch it.
absolutely. I agree.
And
Yeah.
so, having that space to be around that, but also being in a place where, other people exist and you can talk to them and you can get their opinion and,
Mhm.
you might even learn something about it, it's, but, this, in the Chicago space, having this place where everyone can sit and gather and exist. It's funny that I'm speaking about this as it's such a novel concept, but it goes to show how far we've strayed.
Absolutely. Yeah. That is, it's not self-evident that we have that. We create that to go back, of course, in another way forward as well.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
but we need it. We deserve it.
yeah. With that being said, like, do you think, because I believe that retail stores now are more important than ever, especially as an extension of the brand.
Yeah.
But, with how difficult do you feel that has been maybe internally at really communicating the importance of investing in a strong physical location?
It's understood. I mean, it's
That's great.
when we came in to Leica in 2004, we had no own retail business, only dealers around the world, a lot of them. And some in the corner somewhere, there were some Leica, nobody could see it or whatever. And then we also celebrate this year 20 years only of Leica's own retail business.
Yeah.
And we started not in Germany with our first retail. We started in Ginza in Tokyo. This was our first store, also with a gallery, still looking wonderful. We just had a celebration there a month ago for celebrate this 20 years, and the journey goes on because we see, and that's why we decided to take over the own retail business. We can't build up a brand with dealers. We can't do that. We have to take in our own hands the people, the service, how it looks like, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm not surprised that the first store was in Japan. I go to Japan a couple times a year, and I always come home with this renewed love and obsession with retail specifically.
Yeah. Unbelievable. We can learn so many things from them. Yeah, love in the detail. It's great.
Yeah.
This one paper store, I think they have I don't know the name. They have 7 levels.
Itoya?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And you also know the store, they only sell white t-shirts.
Yeah.
From a lot of different brands.
Yeah, it's so good. And there are things too that I've picked up on where, and I'm sure you've seen this, you'll go to a retail store and you make your purchase and they'll spend a lot of time wrapping up what you purchased. But then the bag itself, because I'm like, man, I worked in retail in New York and other places. And when someone would leave, sure, we would walk them to the door. We would hand them their bag. But a lot of times I was like, did we do anything to protect their bag from the elements? Because I was in Japan and they put a plastic sheath on top of my paper bag. And then they used one singular piece of tape to keep it closed. So if there was rain, my bag was, it was protected. And I was just like, that tiny little touch really impacted my whole stay.
Yeah. It's the love and the detail. I don't know if you, I'm sure you saw the movie from Wim Wenders, Perfect Days.
Yeah.
I mean, this is Japan. No one would ask well-known architects to build restrooms or fit ones.
That's true.
I mean, this is, and also the whole movie was amazing. By the way, we will have an exhibition on the 10th of June, the Ernst Leitz Museum, with Donata and Wim Wenders. I mean, they had already, I think, in Japan, one exhibition together, but not with their icon images. So this is a visual dialogue between Donata and Wim, and they are totally different in their picture language, because Wim has this huge 5-meter large film setup images, and Donata, the small black and white, always people inside and life. So this will be also very interesting on the 10th of June at the Leitzpark, at the museum there. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, when you look at the types of programming, in the Leica from stores and galleries, what are certain things that you look for other programming?
I mean, for the Ernst Leitz Museum, of course, we have only 3 exhibitions per year, yeah. and the last one in October is always dedicated, as I mentioned, to the finalists and winners of the Leica Oscar Barnack Award. So, for example, now we still have on Ragnar Axelsson. It's one of the Leica photographers he's shooting since 40 years, the Arctis, and changing and amazing only black and white images. He also produced and published a lot of books. So the variety of the program, that a lot of people also, I did an exhibition with Rankin, for example. I don't know if you know this British, he's totally on advertising, but because he is well known here, because we have a TV show, German's Next Top Model. It's terrible, but he was a photographer inside. Oh, sorry if someone is. So he was a photographer several times inside. So in German, everyone knows Rankin. So I said, okay, I need a blockbuster, so let's do something with Rankin. And we did it really also Leica-like in a way. He's also using Leica. So yeah, changing this. And for the galleries, I mean, each gallerist, I have a wonderful network of gallerists worldwide. Also, Lucas in Chicago is a great person, really connected to photography in Chicago. And that they present me their program for the next year. And very, very seldom I have some changes, because I think, oh, this is perhaps not the right setup, or you have to follow other exhibitions. It's on one point, of course, it's also iconic photographers. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, it's very important to look at the photographers in your country, and also for emerging, find the iconic photographers for tomorrow. So support and exhibit the young emerging talents as well. So this is a little bit, and of course they also should, not every year, but every second year, exhibit the LOBA winners or finalists or whatever.
Yeah. Being around so many of these photographers, in your career at all, is there any photograph that you've seen that you wish you owned?
Oof, I think there are a lot, but I don't want to own them. No.
Can you elaborate on that? Because I'm very curious about, I'm trying to do this thing where I appreciate but not own. What does that look like for you?
And I mean, I don't collect really. I have some images I have only images from women on pictures, also shot from men, from women. So like writers or painters or also other interesting portraits. And with my husband together, of course, we collect pictures from well-known photographers with their Leica.
Yeah.
So, but no, because I sometimes I also have paintings at home, because when you look at so many pictures and are surrounded in your life, it's sometimes also good to look at a painting.
Yeah, I agree. Many, many years ago, I worked at the Apple Store, and this is like 2004 in Soho, and we would do these events in the Apple Store theater, and there was a photographer that came through, and I was one of the people who was like, I'd have to work with these photographers and help them put everything together. And this photographer came in, and his name was Joel Brodsky, and he was probably the most famous. I don't know if you were ever a fan of the Doors, but Jim Morrison with the arms outstretched, and like that classic. And I helped him put together his little presentation. And he was not doing as well in his health, and I could tell he was wrestling with a lot of stuff. And he was like, "Hey, I just wanted to thank you for helping me out." He's like, "If there's ever any pictures of mine that you want, let me know and I'll make you an artist, an artist proof." And I was like, I can't really accept anything. Like I that's kind of you. And he's like, no, he's like, earlier you mentioned, and I have continued to have an obsession with just blues singers. And he took a photo of Howlin' Wolf. And I was like, I love Howlin' Wolf. I was like, maybe I could come and look at it sometime. And he's like, no. And one day he comes in and he hands me this picture, and it's just Howlin' Wolf's head. And I keep it hung up. It's on the other side of my office here, because my wife is not as much of a fan of it as I am. But I will find myself just sitting and staring and looking at it. And yeah, I mean, and so I love to just like sit and gaze upon these things, and they just feel so real. Yeah.
Jeremy, but this is the point, because I have no more space. I don't want to be the collector who has the pictures somewhere stored. I don't like this. I want to look at the images, because I know, of course, collecting means to have all the storage and blah, blah, blah. That's not my cup of coffee or tea or whatever. I really would like to look at them. And therefore, of course, I have already some images, but what I really have, and I just look at it, I have, I don't know how many books. Because a lot of photographers, of course, they give me their book, and also when they would like to exhibit, please have a look at the books, and they sign the book. And so this is also very nice, because then I can take the book out and I can look at the images.
Yeah, but I do think that's a very freeing attitude, though, too. I'm trying to enjoy but not own so much, because a lot of times I'm like, oh man, I got to buy that. No. I'm like, well, steeper.
I don't have to tell this as a gallerist.
Yeah.
Because of course we are, we also need to sell.
Sure.
Also, so, but of course we also need collectors. They just collect photography because they believe in photography, and they believe that will be perhaps one day more valuable. But of course, I also appreciate the people who said, okay, I would like to have this in my living room or wherever.
Yeah. And it's also, it's great. I mean, I have a bunch of Beatles pictures. I mean, there's one behind me, which is from an Apple Records thing. Yeah. But I've always been obsessed with the Beatles, and I feel like, I don't know, that time may never happen again. So
no, unfortunately not. But Mary McCartney, by the way, is also she's a photographer, daughter of
of Paul.
And we are also, she's using Leica, and she's also already was exhibited in one of our galleries. Yeah.
Yeah. The last thing I want to mention is one of the things that Leica's done for me that I honestly kind of never really thought I would use, but there is a Leica iOS camera app. I'm sure you're familiar with this, and it is astonishingly good. Like, I have used a handful of camera apps on my phone, and I'm also a person who's kind of like a little anti-phone camera, but I was in Scotland not too long ago with my best friend, and I brought my cameras, but a lot of times there were things that were happening so quick that I didn't even know where my camera was or whatever. But I used the Leica camera app, and it's so good. And I don't know whoever your developers are or the other people that are working, but they're definitely on top of it.
I will tell them. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and because I'll be honest, I'm probably the biggest elitist snob punk, at times over things. But that camera app is amazing. And I'll say this too, for the record, you can take pictures with these different style Leica lenses. And after you took the photo, you're like, you know what? I shot it at a 50. I kind of wish it would have been a 28. And you're like, boop, and change it.
There
and
it is. Yeah.
It's so good. I will say, yes, I pay for it. No, that Leica did not give it to me for free. It'd be very clear. I bought it. It's fine. I love it. But
these are exactly the people around the world. They're telling stories about Leica where I said, Ralph Gibson said, I never touched something else after I touched a Leica. I don't need to touch something else because when I once touch a Leica, that's it. I don't need to experience or feel something else or test something else. So this is,
Yeah. And I did get the privilege to borrow. I borrowed an M11, and I had a 35. It was 1.8, I think, lens, and I got it when my son was born, and I got to use it to take pictures of him when he was born, and I still have them. It is. I chose to only shoot in black and white. Of the ones that I saved, and they're so good. And one of them we printed. And also, I'm kind of a person too who's like, really, you're gonna save a baby photo and you're gonna print it? Like, I don't know, that seems a little weird. It's like, no, it's so good.
No, not at all. And I think this is also something which I experience with my own kids, that they do a lot of photo books. Because they experience, otherwise we don't look at the images anymore. It's gone. And so this is also what I said, a picture is a picture. When it's printed out, you look at it. When I had my 3 kids, I had this photo books, to print out everything and then to pick it inside and write something down. So this is gone. But the next step is really to print a book or a photo book. When you sit down and you just look at it. You don't do this sitting together, looking at the screens of pictures from your child. No.
Yeah, it's been great, and it's funny because we have a bunch of those printed out, and my mother-in-law has all of them printed out. And so whenever the kids go over to, to grandma's, whatever, they sit and they look through these books.
Yeah.
And it's pretty funny though, because the book has a mixture of photos in it. And when you come to the photos that were taken on the Leica, it is a night and day difference. You're like, wow. It's like, this was shot on, I don't know, whatever. And then you're like, oh, wow, look at how clear it is. There's that sheen or that sort of, I don't know, the Leica look, for lack of a better term, which I'm sure.
Also sometimes.
Yeah. And God, it's good. So so you're doing great stuff over there. We're starting to wrap up. Before we close, though, is there anything you want to add or mention, discuss that I didn't bring up?
The most important point for me is that you are so enthusiastic about Leica, because this is what I really love. And when I would see you, I will hug you. It's not at all self-evident for us. We are so grateful what our customers are doing for us. Of course, we also try our best for our customers, but the feedback is very often so overwhelming that this is for me the magic of the brand. And this is the red dot, this is the heritage, this is the history. And of course we have to go in the future, but this is also what my husband and I say. We know we took the Leica over in 2004. There's a huge history behind, and we really take care of this whole history and try to bring this in the future. But we always take care of it, of the Ernst Leitz family, all what they did. And so I don't know what I can tell you more. If I have a lot long stories about all our cultural activities. Of course, I invite all the people to the Leica headquarters, because there you can experience photography on so many different levels. We have outdoor exhibitions. We have a huge gallery. We have a Lights Cafe with wonderful Leica cakes. We have a hotel. We have this huge Ernst Leitz museum with a huge print exhibition downstairs. We have, but also the second level is with 7 interactive stations, for example, with a digital darkroom. We also have a real darkroom, but we also have a digital darkroom because I said in this museum, also kids with 10 or 8, they have to experience where photography really comes from.
Yeah.
We have, of course, the whole history of the company inside and so on. You can have a look in the production of the lenses. So you can send there in the archive. So it's really, yeah. I think it's also unique in the world, this space.
It is. And I think getting the physical hands-on of this stuff, because I mean, the last thing I'll say that to me that at first I was like, Leica seems like just something that's expensive. And I'm like, but when I got to start using things more and understanding it, one, you feel the quality and you get it, but also the design of it is just enough that I feel like I can control how much I want to get into it versus, even other cameras I've picked up, the UI, the design, I'm overwhelmed by the options that I kind of like rescind and pull away from it. Versus this, I feel like I've always been able, I mean, the fact that my daughter carries a Sofort around and she's able to, connect and print pictures and choose stuff and change whatever filter she wants is, I don't know, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, but I mean, regarding the M, I very often said it's not a camera, it's an instrument, and you have to learn to play with it. There are so many different options to play with it. So it's a kind of instrument. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Karin, thank you so much for your time today. It was a pleasure and an honor to meet you, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you for your interest, Jeremy.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening. You've been listening to Blammo. Our show is produced by Blammo Media. We're edited by Amar Lal, and our theme music by the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. By the way, if you like what you heard, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever dingle-dorp thing is that you're listening to us on. If you really love the show, which hopefully you do, subscribe to us on Patreon, where you can, there's so much good stuff on there, but we have our members-only Slack group. We also have exclusive shows from Dye Workwear, hosted by Derek Guy and Peter Zotolo, as well as the Triple J Show, and there's even some solo pods and stuff in there. There's all sorts of good stuff. But if you want to really lock in, just join us over on Patreon. So thanks so much, everybody. We will see you soon.